Good afternoon, everybody, and I welcome CMA Sharish Gadde sir to today's webinar. My name is Tinku Ghozas. I am the Joint Director and HOD of the Board of Advanced Studies and Research of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India. And from the Board of Advanced Studies, today we organize a webinar for our members and all other stakeholders. And webinar on unveiling financial frauds, opportunities for CMAs in forensic audit. And today we have CMA Sharish Gadde sir with us as the speaker. So we would like to introduce sir very briefly now. Sir has experience in conducting corporate frauds relating to procurement, ghost employees, scheming, asset theft and unauthorized use, implementation of framework for corporates and banking institutions in fraud identification and prevention areas, investigation of cases in bank frauds, insurance frauds, cyber frauds, and securities fraud, assisting management in identifying employee, vendor, and customer red flags. He is assisting authorities in cyber crimes and digital financial investigation. Sir has got extensive experience in handling internal and management audit, risk-based internal audits, new process design, process review, business system controls, SOP design, financial due diligence, fraud investigation, fraud risk management, fraud prevention, fraud detection, and ERP implementation. He has delivered lectures in various educational institutions, renowned colleges and universities as guest lecturer and visiting faculty. Also presented various research papers in national and international seminars. Presently, Sir is delivering lectures on GST, IFRS, accounting standards, forensic audit, investigations, due diligences, income tax, and internal controls. He has served SME, mid-size and large corporate clients across sectors, including manufacturing, retail, textiles, power, real estate, fintech, service sector, engineering, chemicals, pharma, FMCG, construction, and education sectors. He holds an array of qualifications such as cost accountant, chartered accountant, certified fraud examiner, diploma in IFRS, diploma in system audit, IIBF, and certified forensic accountant and fraud detection. I hope today's session with Sir will definitely enrich all of us in a new area for CMAs. So as we can see, already 148 participants joined in this session. Without wasting much more time, I would like to hand over the session to Sir. Sir, please.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Tinku Goshi, for introduction about me and giving the opportunity to give my thoughts on the forensic audits and various kinds of financial frauds. After completion of my CMA, this is one of the first after I entered into forensic audit, this is one of the first webinar I'm presenting to my institute, and it's my pleasure and very thankful to Advanced Studies of HOD and their team for giving me this opportunity. So, good evening, everyone. All the attendees, 166 attendees. So, if you have any doubts with respect to forensic audits, frauds, you can stop me anywhere, or you can list down your issues. I'm going to explain you each and every concept in detail and giving you the framework of today's contents. And you can keep writing in the chat also whenever you have an issue. We can cover all the doubts at the end of the session. It's not at all a problem. And let us start the today's session. I'll share the PPT. Hope everyone can able to see the PPT here.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, ma'am. Oh, I hope my voice also is visible. Can able to hear?
You are audible also. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Great, ma'am. Yeah. So today's topic is on unveiling financial frauds, opportunities for CMAs in forensic audit. As a CMA, when I have started my career, completing my CMA and CFE, it's 4 years before, and I can see there are huge opportunities is going on, or I can say many of our professional friends has not yet explored this area of forensic audit. So what is this forensic audit? Like what exactly, how it is different from, regular audits we do? We are doing cost audits, we do financial audit, we do GST audits, we are also entering into tax audits and all this. How different is it? Is there anything, something new which we need to learn? So everybody will be having these thoughts. Okay. So forensic audit is something which is examination and evaluation of individuals or company financial information with a view to present it in a court as a evidence. So this is the literal meaning of forensic audit. Why this forensic audit is required? Why? What is the reason? To find out an individual or business has been done any fraud or embezzlement, or is there any kind of non-compliance with the regulatory requirements. And these forensic audits also will be conducted to find out is there any professional negligence or is there any person who has not complied with the terms of the agreements or terms of the contract. So these are the basic, situations where forensic audit will arise. So let's say we have understood, okay, there will be some kind of frauds and there will be embezzlement. That is the root trigger point for a forensic audit. We'll be seeing a forensic audit has been initiated in so and so company. Last 2 days before also we have seen in the newspapers of Economic Times that a forensic audit has revealed these kind of various things. So what extra skills do we need? Why this word forensic audit? How come it's different from the forensic? So it is like finding out a trail end to end, where it started, how it started, why it started, when it started, and what is the outcome, who has benefited it. That these full details of 5 house or 5 heads, if I can tell, to find out this end to end, starting from trail, finding out where it went, how it went, what is the modus operandi, all these things in a structured way, finding out the things or finding out sequence of events and presenting it to the person who has initiated the forensic audit in a report format. So this is the main intention of the forensic audit. So let us understand, what is today's agenda covering on the, covering this particular webinar. So today's agenda is we will be covering a brief about different types of financial fraud, like what kind of frauds we have, and like as everybody knows, these all kinds of financial frauds and best practices in fraud risk management. Fraud risk management is another booming area. Like identifying the fraud is one thing, finding out the fraud and knowing what who has benefited is one particular thing, and second thing, how we can able to prevent, detect, and correct the frauds is another thing, and how as CMAs can do this particular job in the fraud prevention and detection, and what are the various kind of scope for CMAs as a forensic auditors or as a forensic accountant. We can also take advantage of this particular domain. So that is the main agenda of this today's webinar. So let us start with understanding on the financial. Give me 1 second. Yes. So let us understand different types of. We will just go into what is financial frauds and what are the various types of financial frauds which is many organizations is facing. So as per the Black Law Dictionary, it is an intentional act or intentional deception or dishonesty perpetrated by one or more individuals, generally for financial gain. We have seen as per Indian Contract Act, it's an intentional act. I have not given, as per Indian Contract Act, is the definition, or Companies Act or SEBI regulations. It is an intention to deceive some other person with a view to gain something financially benefiting. That act is being defined as a fraud. So what are the various kinds of elements that we can tell this is a fraud? So first, the individual must know that the statement is true, is untrue, saying that I know that this is an untrue statement, and the victim who is going to rely that this person is going to injure and I am going to financially benefit out of this act. And the intention of the person is very, very, very important to determine a fraud. If the intention is not to deceive someone, or it is not an intentional act to make some financial gain out of it, it cannot be a fraud. It is a misstatement. So the statement must be false. So these 5 items should be there to consider any act to be a fraud in an organization or in any kind of business course. So there are various kinds of financial frauds we can classify, and Association of Certified Fraud Examiners Association has defined fraud and into all over the world. It has been classified into 3 categories. So the first one is financial statement fraud, second one is asset misappropriation, and third one is corruption. So all kinds of frauds with respect to financials, these frauds has been segregated into 3 different categories. One is fraudulent financial statements. Next one is asset misappropriation. Next is corruption. In case of financial frauds, let's say fraudulent financial statements, it includes both financial as well as non-financial. And generally, when I talk about these financial frauds, we have 3 types of persons who comes into picture. One is employees, one is vendors, one is your customers. Without involving these 3 category of persons, there will not be any kind of fraud which will occur in an organization. Okay, let's say employee, either employee will be the person who will be the main holder to start the fraud or to enter the fraud or to run the fraud into a certain level, or there will be certain kind of vendors and again employee will be colluded, or customer again an employee will be colluded. We can say there will be 3 participant definitely should be there in any kind of fraud in an organization. And based on that, the frauds also has been classified by the ACF, Association of Certified Fraud Examiner Institute, that frauds has been classified into 3 different I can take classifications. With respect to assets, it's an asset misappropriation. If you want to do certain kind of accounting entries and do goalmall, all kind of these things, then it is called fraudulent financial statement. That means it starts with journal entries. There is some kind of issues in the journal entries or ledgers, trial balance, financial reporting, maybe
Just 1 second, sir. I just very sorry to interrupt you. In the question answer session, in the question answer field, there are some questions might come from the members, attending members. So will you check it, or should I read it out? Should I read it out in between, or should I read it out at the end?
No, I'll check it, madam. I'll check it.
Yeah, right now, say H. Gopalakrishnan sir has given some question. If you can please check, or at your convenience, whatever.
Okay. Does forensic audit is covered by any act or
Thank you, sir.
provisions of the Companies Act? Yeah. And the consequences of fraud deception. Okay. Okay. Sir, this detailed, whether it is covered by any act or provisions of the Companies Act, we have, structured this session in such a way that we cover this at the end of maybe after 15-20 minutes, I am going to cover this particular thing. And the consequences of fraud detection also, I'm going to cover it. Maybe 15-20 minutes later, we have structured this session in such a way that an opportunity is what is available to the CMAs. So I'll be covering that particular slide. We have 2 slides of this particular thing. I'll be covering those things, sir. Gopal Krishnan, sir. Yeah. I hope this answers your query. Yeah. So as and when I receive the message, I will be checking it and I will be answering your queries. You can text it, not a problem.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so if there is any issue in the preparation of financial statements or accounting or recording of the transactions, like assets or revenue overstatement in any revenue recognition concept, maybe due to timing difference, due to fictitious revenue, we see Satyam case, that is a fictitious revenue. So concealing liabilities and expenses, improper asset valuations, improper disclosures, which is to be done as part of the Companies Act requirements, SEBI regulations. So all this comes under fraudulent financial statement fraud, as if financially you are going to hamper the stakeholders or shareholders who is going to believe on the company financial statements. So this will be considered as a serious financial irregularities, which will cover, which will be part of economic offenses when CBI. These particular type of cases will be dealt with SEBI also. So there are various accounting, revenue overstatement, understatement of frauds, or we can tell it's an kind of accounting tactics which can be done to deceive the stakeholders of an organization. So non-financial, like employment credentials, internal documents, external sharing certain kind of internal documents, which is very share price sensitive informations to the outsiders, or employment credentials. You are going to use certain kind of things for benefiting financially out of the organization. So these all kind of various types of issues will be considered as an fraudulent financial statements. And asset misappropriation, we see inventory audits we do, fixed assets audits we do to find out whether there is any pilferages in the assets or any pilferages in the inventories, that any assets which has been unauthorizedly used by any person, maybe vendor, customer, or our employee, or it has been taken out of the organization's system, then such kind of acts will be called as asset misappropriations. So we can see all kind of assets in a balance sheet. If we see asset sides, current assets, fixed assets. So these are certain kinds of assets. If it goes on theft, let's say cash, if anybody takes out of the system, maybe cash skimming, cash larcening, there are various kinds of methods. All these kind of acts will be called as asset misappropriation. And in case of fraudulent disbursements, we see billing schemes, shell companies, and personal purchases. We can see procurement frauds. We can see payroll ghost employees, creating a ghost employees, taking commissions and not paying the PF, PSI, and just claiming those in the books of accounts. So all these comes under asset misappropriation. And inventory, we can see, like, though there will be an inventory, but the differences between books and physical verification records, or there is a pilferages happening in the by the store in charges or accounting entry misclassifications. So all these comes under asset misappropriation. So another category comes to corruption. Corruption is like something illegal gratuities or economic extortion, bribery, and anti-money laundering act. These, whatever we are discussing, all these types of frauds, we are going to have one case study, detailed case study covering 5 to 6 slides, and I'm going to explain how these three types of frauds, financial frauds, will actually practically how it has been done in the over a period of last 5 to 6 years in India, and how forensic audit has helped to find out the issues. Also, we are going to discuss those things. So corruption, there will be a conflict of interest in case of purchases. Let's say Karnataka state government gives various kinds of road tenders. So those tenders, when 3 to 4 persons collude, and I will give you the best price, and we can share those contracts. So it is like bid rigging. So there are various kinds of corruption cases which you are also aware. So these are the three types of frauds as per ACFA report, that fraudulent financial statement, asset misappropriation, corruption can be considered as in fraud classifications. So if we define based on industry, let's say in banking industry, bank frauds, banks also, employee frauds will be there, customer frauds will be there, and vendor frauds will be there. Let's say borrower who takes their loans, borrower frauds, employee who colludes with the borrower and siphon the funds. So it's an employee fraud again. So it's again, bank frauds also has been defined various ways depending upon the nature of the transaction. Cyber frauds by using the technology, insurance frauds, like claiming more, giving the more claim than what actually happened, or there will not be any kind of issue, but insurance claims will be lodged to the insurance company. Corporate fraud, what we have discussed just now, this will be also called as occupational or employee frauds. That is fraudulent financial statements, asset misappropriation, and corruption. And securities, which is guided by SEBI. Any shares of a company listed with stock exchanges, and any employees or whoever manipulates these share price information or gives price sensitive information disclosed to third parties with a view to gain price implications of the shares, that will be called as securities fraud. And consumer fraud, which is Ponzi schemes, like cheating the customers or giving fake products. So these are various types of frauds we can actually look into it. So there is some kind of report which is published recently by Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. So there is a question by PM Keshava. What is the trigger point of happening of fraud? Is there any way to identify the same before it begins? Yes, we are going to discuss that, sir. There is a fraud risk management entire session. We are going to discuss that. And what is the eligibility comparison between CMAs and CMS and CS with reference to forensic corporate? Yeah, we are going to discuss these things. Not to worry. And with respect to CS and CMS, there is no such distinction that okay, only this particular qualification. As of now, other than Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, no other institute is regulating this profession. In India, there is no such profession or institute which is regulating. Our CMA institute also has started a certificate course, which we are going to discuss these details at the end of the session. So whatever frauds we have discussed, so on this there has been a survey has been conducted by the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, and they have given a report saying that there are top 4 concealment methods used by the fraudsters. Again, fraudsters can be from inside the organization or outside the organization. They can be employees, management, or outside vendors, customers, or anybody, or like let's say in case if they give certain kinds of investors also. So these are the 4 types of fraudsters. It has been revealed in the survey that 40% created fraudulent physical fake documents, and 36% it is been altered physical document. 27% altered electronic documents, 26% created fraudulent electronic documents or files, and 12% did not involve any attempts to conceal the fraud. You can see, so understanding the methods fraudsters use to conceal their crimes can assist organization in more effectively detecting and preventing similar schemes in the future. I'm just giving this particular slide here, taking from the ACFP report to the nations on the frauds. So that particular institution has given this survey telling that 40% they have created physical documents, fraud documents. Like, for example, there is one of the recent case which we have handled as part of cooperative societies, and they have shifted the goods. They mentioned that they have shifted the goods through lorries, but lorry receipts are all fake. Actually, the transaction has not happened, but the amount has been transferred from the company, from the cooperative society to another vendors. So when we actually check the lorry receipts receivables, that it doesn't exist. So, so it is like actually creating certain kind of fraudulent physical documents and alteration of physical documents. Whatever, let's say they are purchasing as per the agreement, some goods is being purchased for 100 rupees, but the actual transaction they hype it for 500 rupees or 600 rupees. So, and electronic documents like ERP, full, let's say, generally recent cases also we have seen SEBI has published certain kind of SMEs where they don't have certain kinds of documents. They altered their ERP systems and they have engaged the consultants to maintain last 4 years track record profits, all those things. So altered electronic documents or files. And 26% created fraudulent electronic documents or files. And 12% of the fraudsters does not even touch that we should able to we should conceal this fraud. So this is how an organizations, this particular report is speaking about only a corporate organizations, and this is the situation of an corporate entities, and it is been also given that 2% of the turnover is been going because of the frauds in an organization. It's 5% as per last year. So facts from CFE report to the nation. So they have examined 2,504 cases from 125 countries, and it is $3.6 billion loss. And it is estimated by the CFP that organizations has lost almost 5% of revenue to fraud each year, and the median loss is $1,25,000 per case. So we can see how an organization is losing. So we as a CMAs can see this as an one kind of opportunity, so to implement certain kinds of methods, certain kinds of uh, we can say FPPs, fraud prevention programs, or fraud prevention techniques to the organizations, and tell that, see, we have this capability, we can promote, or we can give you certain kinds of advisory services, how you can able to prevent these kind of issues. As we are in still discussing on the financial frauds, we will discuss how those things enter, fraud risk management, all those things. So how a fraudster profiling will be. You can see, if we take department wise, more than half of the occupational frauds comes from these four departments. That is operations 15%, accounting 14%, and top management 12%, and sales guys 11%. So that is how the frauds is happening. Yeah, okay, Ganesh, these percentages relating to trend all over the world, in not India. It is not belongs to India. All over the world it belongs to. Yes. So owners or executives, 20% of the occupational frauds, those are the people who conducts a huge loss or largest losses uh, in the economy. They are the persons who is committing a greatest losses and creating hurdles to the economy. And if we see male, female, around 72% of the men who commits occupational fraud, and also caused larger losses than women. So this report, these particular slides which I am showing here, is being published by ACFE. You can go and search. These reports cost around I think $1,500 or something. This report is given to the report name is Report to the Nations. It gives only details about how frauds has happened, what is the detection techniques, what are the preventive techniques, what are the current techniques. So this will be available to the members of that institute as well. So if we see why people will do the frauds, what is the reason of doing the fraud? So again, the institute, the ACF Institute has designed this into three categories. We can consider that as OPR, opportunity, pressure, rationalization. So if the person has pressure, that financial or emotional force behind towards fraud, let's say if you give a target to the sales employee, or to a key manager person, CEO or CFO, that you should achieve this much turnover, and they start booking the fake sales. So that is the pressure, or you achieve this much target, then only I will give you a salary. So that is one of the um, what you can say situation where that particular employee will be motivated through the fraud. And the opportunity, ability to execute plan without being caught. There will not be any kind of maker checker concept in the organization, and he has the opportunity that if I can be able to override the internal control in an organization. So that gives the opportunity for an fraudster or particular employee, vendor, or customer to do the fraud. And rationalization, like I am working more time in the office, or because of me the organization is earning every year 100 crores profit, so let me take 50-60 lakhs through some kind of issue and take the amount to my personal gain also. So these are certain kinds of attitudes an employee possesses. So these are various kinds of situations where frauds might occur. So there is a simple case study. I'm going to explain this case study at the end also. So if we see forensic audit in Nirav Modi case, a staggering 30 banks as part of this forensic audit besides Punjab National Bank, because they have given the consortium of loans to this particular business borrower, and this borrower has 11,400 crores has done a banking fraud. He's a borrower. He used the LCs, and those was not, bank internal controls was not able to check how these particular transactions, these particular credit facilities is being given to them. So this outcome will be used as an evidence in court to prosecute the key proprietor Nirav Modi and his firms, and Mehul Chokshi, promoter, and Geetanjali Group. So this is one of the situation where um, so there was a question, right? One of the person has asked, what is the triggering point to do the forensic audit? So the basic thing is, we no need to find that there is a fraud and then start the forensic audit. If you have doubt that this particular issue is happening, or some regulatory non-compliances is happening, or there is some issue, you have forensic initiation of forensic audit is not necessarily means that there will be a fraud. That is a wrong conception or wrong assumption, I can tell. Forensic audit can be find out to know the facts. Again, court tells that forensic auditor is no need to give any kind of evidence. Your duty is to give what is the facts of that particular transaction or that particular case. It is the court who has to decide whether who is the wrong, who is the right. So the job of the forensic auditor is to just find out the facts, evidences, structure these things in a report and present these particular facts in the court or as evidence in the court of law. That is the duty of the forensic auditor. So if we see all these particular topics of financial frauds, uh, it is not necessarily that forensic audit can be initiated only if we have a fraud. If you have certain kind of doubt, or this triggers that there is some non-compliances, there is an agreement issues. Let's say we have done one forensic audit of one of the bank in Karnataka. It is again a regional rural bank. The recent CEO who has been appointed in the bank has got doubt that in that particular district they have 32 branches. None of the branches has the biometric authentication, and that particular CEO has appointed us and has made that at least last 1 year. Can you just check the transactions and give us the report? Think that this is a regulatory audit and do it. And eventually, we have seen that a clerk in one of the branch has taken almost 10 crores. This is part of EOD of Karnataka also, like Economic Offences Division. It is in CID also. You can find out these documents is available online. So that is how again a forensic audit will trigger. Then we started triggering, started digging the things into last 5 to 6 years. We have found out that almost a group of people involved, and branch manager is not technically or he is not good with the electronic systems. He was not using his maker checker concept. All transactions has been approving without having this checker concept. So this is how forensic audits will trigger. It is not that you there should be a fraud, then only I will do the forensic audit. No, there is consultations have started. If you want to have in case of MNC companies, in case of private limited companies, or in case of listed companies, there are various kinds of consultancies assignments also have started, that how I should implement a fraud prevention program, how I should start a fraud risk management in my organization. What are the best practices of fraud risk management? So any organization comes to you saying that, sir, you are my financial consultant, and you are the chartered cost accountant, and you have expertise in this particular financial background, and you have expertise in financial fee taxation. How do I structure my organization so that my organization will not go into losses because of the fraud? Or there will be various kinds of businessmen who thinks that, okay, there is assets or stocks or receivables, or organization assets is being prone to fraud. So can you give us some risk management policies, risk management frameworks? Then this is actually implementing a concept. Like in 2017, we have got an mandatory requirement from the Companies Act saying that the company's turnover crosses more than 50 crores. Such companies has to definitely implement internal financial controls. Like during that period, how an auditors or how a business consultant got the one more area of implementing these IFC frameworks. Like they started preparing RCMs, SOPs. So in the same way, fraud risk management is also an evolving concept, where before a fraud occurs, you should be able to prevent it. Once fraud occurs, as soon as fraud occurs, you should be able to detect it. And once fraud has been, like somebody has done the fraud, it should be corrected. That is called PDC, prevention, detection, correction mechanisms. We simply call it as fraud risk management. So in case of fraud risk management, first we have to assess the risks. Like in IFC framework also, we have to identify what are the risks, and then we implement the controls. We put it in a matrix kind of thing that is called risk control matrix. In case of IFC implementation or IFC testing, we as the internal auditor, we as a cost auditor, we as a statutory auditor, any role you possess, but we check this matrix, something called risk control matrix. We validate the controls and we text every year that controls whatever position, maybe you are the internal auditor, a statutory auditor, a cost auditor. We check those controls and validate, is there any kind of gaps between the controls and my actual processes. In the same way, an organization has to develop certain thing called fraud risk mechanism. To manage that fraud risk, there is something called fraud risk management. So this FRM concept of FRM has been already there in many of the MNC companies, many of the banks, many of the financial institutions. So they first have to assess the risks. They has to formulate a policy, and they have to communicate that particular policy to their stakeholders. See, if you ask Sarish how it happens in a very detailed manner, so we comes here with the next slide. It tells that fraud risk management is the process and approach to protect themselves from being defrauded by their customers or investors. This involves identifying, assessing, and managing fraud and related risks. The objective of the fraud management is to prevent the loss of funds by detecting and preventing fraud against an organization. Business organizations should have efficient policies, procedures to identify, monitor, and mitigate potential fraud risks to ensure sound fraud risk management. Like we have seen, we would have learned this while learning our strategic management or financial management in the CMA also, that SWOT analysis should need to be done by an organization. You have to identify what is your strength, what is your opportunities, what is your threat. In this particular concept also, in the case of forensic audit, in the case of fraud risk management, the framework is very simple. You have to identify what is your fraud risk, what is the threats, and how you should be able to give certain kind of controls or internal controls or financial controls or operational controls so that you mitigate these kinds of risks. Or if you are unable to mitigate this, how you should be able to detect these kind of fraud risks. Or if you are unable to detect those kind of things, how you can do corrective action. So prevention, detection, correction, simply I call it as PDC, prevention, detection, correction of the fraud risk is called fraud risk management. So the fraud risk management involves identifying, evaluating, and preventing fraudsters, both internal and external, from defrauding the company. So it starts with fraud management planning. There is something called risk assessment team. We call it as RAT. Risk assessment team has to be in many MNC companies. There is a specific team who plans these risks and who plans these risk controls and how we can mitigate and test those controls as well. So if anybody has any doubts with respect to this, please let us know. The implementation of this framework starts with identifying the risk assessment team. Once they assess this, they will identify potential fraud risks, and they will segregate these risks also, like how we segregate our internal controls risks, like entity level controls, process level controls, transaction level controls. In the same way, they identify it. What is the risk, say, fraud risk at entity level? What is the fraud risk at process level? What is the risk at transaction level? So these three types, they divide these risks and they make it as a risk control type and framework, which is called fraud risk control framework. Next, once they identify the potential fraud risk, they'll go for fraud risk assessment, like what is whether this risk is a high or medium or low, and they prioritize these things. Like high kind of fraud risks, we have to act immediately. We have to change our systems. We have to change our policies and implement new policies. Once we prioritize this fraud risk, we will go for development of this risk management policies at all levels in the organization. We have to develop a particular policy and then communicate this particular fraud management policy to all the customers, vendors, and employees. And once you communicate, you actually start this prevention, detection, correction procedures. For example, in case of any payment, vendor payments, there should be a person who handles the treasury bank payments person who initiates the bank transaction, and there is a person, there will be a 3 to 4 simultaneous authorized signatory who checks that one and who approves that particular payment. So that is called prevention detection, like you prevent, you detect or correct. And detection, in case if there is any issue happens with respect to the payment, is there any review mechanism who should be able to review it and detect those issues? And review on monitoring of fraud management policy. This is nothing but again a particular consultant like us who can review these kind of controls. So an effective fraud risk management policy will have fraud risk governance, fraud risk assessment, fraud risk prevention, fraud risk detection, fraud risk monitoring and reporting. So these three red flags, you can read it. It's very you can able to read this. What is red flags, yellow flags, and green flags. So I want to just cover the fraud risk management. That as per internal control concept 2013 framework, we have something called COSE environment. As per enterprise risk management 2017, we have something called a 2017 COSO framework. So in the same way, there is something called fraud risk management, a framework which is going to arise, and in the near future we can tell that yes, we are a consultant for fraud risk management, like how we say we tell now IFC consultants. So these are various kinds of fraud risk management mechanisms which is available for you to act as a consultant or to promote in various organizations. If you are working in an organization, you can if you are in internal audit, you can specifically have these kind of control mechanisms to be implemented. So implementation of internal controls and monitoring systems is very important in ERM, and continuous improvement and training for fraud prevention mechanisms is required, and integrity, like it has to be culture in the organization. So, so if we see in the ERM framework, we have covered, let's say, in the entire presentation till now, we have understood what is forensic audit and what is fraud, and to prevent these frauds in an organization, what is the mechanism that is called fraud risk management. Like we have seen one part, what is frauds, how fraud scenario in India or in the worldwide, and how we as a consultants or we as a cost accountants can act to implement a fraud prevention mechanism or fraud risk management frameworks. So to have that for CMAs, especially for CMAs, how the strategic role of CMAs in fraud prevention and detections, and how you can act in this particular strategic role, how you can act. So for forensic audit services typically include review of financial and cost statements, computer forensics, electronic discovery, bankruptcies, insolvencies, which is nothing but transaction audits in IBC code 2016, workplace fraud investigations, calculation of economic losses, business valuations, and professional negligence. Let's say after this particular webinar, and there is a course called Diploma in Forensic Audit by the Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of India. Once you complete that course, you will be like an expert in this particular field of forensic audit. So you can be able to provide these many kinds of services in forensic audit, which is available currently going on in India. I can tell like what are the various institutions also we are going to cover in the next slide. What institutions who require forensic audit services, what is the mechanism to apply, all those things we are going to cover in a detailed what you can say course called Diploma in Forensic Audit also. So briefly, forensic audit services typically include review of financial and cost statements, computer forensics, electronic discovery, bankruptcies as per IBC Act, transaction audits as per under IBC also is gaining good momentum in forensics, workplace fraud investigations. So in forensics, if I can tell what kind of services generally fraud examiners will provide, they classify there into two streams: one to the private organizations, one to the government organizations, one to insolvencies. So these three divisions they'll establish, and insolvency is gaining good momentum as transactions or audits is coming up as and when a particular case comes to the IBC. So what are the skills a CMA should possess, or I can tell what are the qualities they should have? The forensic auditor should be always professional skepticism, be a good observer, use multiple clues. So as a CMA, we possess already certain skills, like we have analytical skills, we are good at attention to detail, we know various auditing standards, costing standards, accounting standards, and as and when, let's say, you are reviewing as an auditor or consultant or tax advisor to any company, you are able to find certain kinds of discrepancies, and you are suggesting to the management as an internal auditor as well. So if you possess all this, why you cannot, actually enter into the world of forensic audit or the profession of certified, fraud examiners? So what will be the career scope as a CMA you can render? So I just want to give the whole graph of the whole world. Then I will come to India. What is our market scenario? Then I will cover specifically, if you are not having certain skills of this forensic audit, how you can able to build certain skills to actually enter into this particular profession. So CMA Pallavi has asked one question, sir, what can be the strategies which can be adopted in fraud risk prevention practically? See, okay. Fraud risk prevention, detection, correction, as I mentioned in fraud risk management. I'll just give one small example how prevention will be there. If we take process wise, let's say we have business processes classified into P2P, order to cash, fixed assets, treasury, or payroll. So it will be very time taking. I'll just give you one example. In case of COVID, we will have preventive, we use mask, detective, we go for text if we have any red flag. That is nothing but you have any symptoms of COVID. Correction, you go to hospital and cure that disease. So this is how the fraud risk management will work in case of organizations also. Due to time lacking, I'm just giving this small example. And CMA G Sundaresan, can whistleblowers part of whistleblower policy of the corporates themselves with forensic auditors? I didn't get your question. G. Sundaresan, sir. I didn't get your question. Can whistleblowers of a corporate associate themselves with forensic auditors? Can a corporate associate themselves with forensic auditors? Actually, in case of a forensic audit assignment, forensic auditors will think that whomever they approach, if they are giving some inputs, they'll take it. But we don't know. Yes, whistleblower confidentiality also has to be ensured at the end of the day. So whistleblowers cannot be part of them, but they can give certain kinds of leads. Again, there is one ACFC report which is gives that whistleblowers is the highest lead which can give to the forensic auditors in any case of assignments. So that is one thing. And Yashwant, do we have any tools or softwares in fraud prevention that we have to learn to excel in this field? Yes, I'm going to cover that in the end of the slide, like what are the tools and softwares in forensic field. So forensic accounting global market report, the business research company has researched it. This is again available in online with 4,000 rupees dollars with this research company. The full, they have done each and every service wise, they have done certain kind of analysis how Indian market is there in forensic audit or accounting. So their projections by 2029, the market size of forensic accounting audit will grow by 8.66 billion, and CAGR will be 8.3%. And in 2024 it was 5.8 on, it is actual, and 6.29 was the research results. So you can see what is the opportunities in forensic audit. And industry wise, let's say banking, financial sectors, how they use. In 2021, this was their graph, and 2031, this will be how the agencies, various kinds of persons can use these forensic audits. It is just a pictograph representation saying that how 2021 and 2031 with these estimates it will be. So government and public sectors, law enforcement agencies, and others will use forensic auditors like this. And India Corporate Fraud Survey 2023 has told that 80% of survey respondents believe incident of fraud will rise in the next 2 years, maybe due to various reasons, let's say due to technology or due to not having good internal control systems, or businesses is just thinking about doing business or not complying with certain regulations. So the top three reasons of fraud include lack of efficient internal control, diminishing ethical values, senior management overriding of the controls. And top three fraud-prone business processes or functions is procurement, vendor selection, sales, and marketing. So in Indian scenario, what are the agencies or what are the organizations? Presently, if you ask me, I have worked with all these kind of agencies. We as a forensic auditors, we have worked with them as a forensic auditors. In the sense, for example, if I take CBI will be doing one financial fraud, and they will ask, for example, Sarish and co-chartered accountant, cost accountant to do this particular assignment and give it to them, and we have to present the report. That report will be used as a evidence or testimonial in the court of law. So all states, we have CBI offices. All CBI offices in India will every year ask, they will come up with an RFP saying that we need so and so, so and so, so and so forensic auditors to do this particular case. Every year they'll come. Okay, so we have one person specifically in our office to just look after these things. Once an RFP comes, he will just apply for that, and we will get that particular audit. Okay, so these are various, and you can read out what kind of assignments they give. And SEBI recently also SEBI has asked for came up with an RFP that even our diploma in forensic audit given by the Institute of Cost and Management Accountants, their diploma course also we are agreeing, if anybody having this diploma in forensic audit and they are willing to apply for this particular empanelment, we are ready to accept it. Karke they have given. I think everybody would have received that mail also. And SEBI has given an empanelment notification. Recently only it has been. And so if any of one of us has done this particular diplomas, and you could have applied it, and all listed companies nowadays, all HME IPO was coming. So SEBI has started giving the forensic auditors too who have certain criteria requirements. They are just getting these kind of audits. Even we have empaneled for not only this for let's say brokers audits also they will give. We are doing their audits also. So under SEBI there are many things. There are frauds with respect to listing entities. There are frauds, internal audits, frauds with respect to entities who gives this insensitive information. Hello, hello, hello.
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Yeah, I'm audible. Sorry, I think there was some signal issue. Yes, it is clear now, right, ma'am?
Yes, sir. It is clear now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So SEBI has various kinds of opportunities. They keep on giving like 3 years once they give the empanelment. And these are the entities which is of government related. If you just have certain systems, mechanism, fraud prevention programs, you keep everything perfect, pakka, and start, in private sectors also. SFIO, you would have. I can tell if you just go to Gem portal and search, every monthly, 2 months once, they will be issuing one notification for forensic audit. And RPs, many resolutions is happening, many IBC cases is happening. NCLT, if any application goes to NCLT that event or what is the situation of this, then they will just order section 43, section 66, and lenders or banks, like we have almost many banks, like public sector banks, private sector banks. I think many banks. Hello.
Hello.
Ma'am, can you able to hear?
Yes, sir. It is
Okay,
getting
fine.
disconnected. Yeah. It's okay. Hello.
Yeah, I hope now it's clear.
Yes, sir.
Everyone able to hear? Yeah. Okay, fine. So there are various banks which gives empanelment notification, and this notification comes every 2 years.
Hello, sir. Is there any problem in connection? Hello. Hello, sir. Is there any problem in the connection? Seems there is some connection problem at the end of the faculty's side. I hope it will be resolved. And till now, he has delivered almost the full thing. And as he is not,
Sorry.
yes, sir.
I'm so sorry. I'll extend. I will be completing in just 4 to 5 minutes, ma'am. Give me 4 to 5 minutes. I'll just complete it. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, can you able to hear? I think
Yes, sir.
everybody can. Yeah. Give me just 4 to 5 minutes, ma'am. I'm just completing my presentation. Last 2 3 slides.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So in Indian scenario, these are the various kinds of investigation agencies or
Sir, can you please
every.
reshare your document? It cannot be shared right now.
Okay, I'm just doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, it is clear. Can you able to see the document?
No, sir.
It is sharing now.
No, it is not coming actually. Just 1 second. Yes. Now it is working.
Okay,
It
fine,
is it,
fine.
it is working
Sorry
now.
for that.
Yeah. It's all right, sir.
Yeah. So, these are various kinds of government organization I'm telling. And again, I have not mentioned here GST, income tax department. They though like especially under section 53 or for doing fraud for these fraud transactions to consider any particular taxpayer as a fraudulent, they has to compulsory go with a forensic audit. These opportunities, whatever I'm mentioning only from the government perspective. If you see under IBC, if you come under private institutions, private every week I can tell I'll get a lead saying that can you come for prevention program, or can you train the organizations, or can you just do something has happened, some asset embezzlement has and misappropriation happened. Can you please give us some consultancy on that? So again, forensic audits is growing in India like anything because of complexity of the transaction, regulator scrutiny, and CMAs can significantly contribute to the field of forensic audit and leverage their financial expertise. See, the let's say we are going to discuss a course on diploma in forensic audit. Once you complete it, existing CMAs or the CMAs who are just entering into the profession, or the persons who are working in corporates and they wants to get into these forensic division, or they have to have their internal forensic audit division. So each and every CMA has to understand certain kind of things, and they should possess certain credentials. So these are certain things we can tell, and we have to check ourselves that are we aware of direct tax provisions, are we aware of Companies Act provisions, are we know regulatory frameworks which deals about like uh, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, SEBI, IBC, RBI reporting requirements, and what are the techniques to forensic audit? What are the mechanisms? Like what are the tools? What are the softwares like NCASE? What are these? How we should be, cope up with these particular requirements to enter into the CMA forensic audit practice. So there is a course called Diploma in Forensic Audit, uh, which is implemented by Advanced Studies of ICMA, and you can see a course has been designed into 4 modules, which covers first what is forensic audit, what are the regulatory requirements, what are the techniques to forensic audit, how forensic audit practice is implemented in organizations, what are the hello,
Yes, sir.
hello,
Yes, sir.
hello.
Yes, sir. Sir has already explained about the courses run by the Board of Advanced Studies on Forensic Audit. And I think in today's session, Sir has explained many areas, many aspects of this particular field. But yes, as the area is so vast, it cannot be covered actually within this short time. So, yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am, you can continue. You can continue.
No, it's all right, sir. If you can please, I was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
waiting for you.
Yeah. So there are 4 modules in this diploma in forensic audit, where it gives very detailed about what are the regulatory requirements, what are the Companies Act, what it is telling, RBI, what it is telling, what is PMLA is telling, and module 2 covers about what is the applicable standards. That's the practices of fraud risk management. In the one slide, I have given you the full summary of what we do in for fraud risk management. I don't think so somebody can learn within a span of 15 minutes about IFC implementation. It is not possible. So fraud risk management is also a concept where it has to be understood in a phased manner. So we have 30 hours of time. And module 3, which covers about fraud examiner, engagement management, documentation, quality control, and what are the professional ethics, what are the reporting requirements, how report has to be. ACFE tells the detailed guidelines of forensic audit report. So those things and all will be covered in module 3. And module 4 gives what are the ethics, what are the code of conduct, how forensic fraud examiner and forensics have for fraud examiner and forensic audit professional opportunities. This covers in 10 hours. So it is a detailed 100-hour course. It explains about 10 to 15 hours of code of ethics, as well as your professional development, like what are the specific areas. Like I have shown you certain kind of government organizations here, right? So how you can able to get into actually those things. So and again, CP is complementary for that, and it enhances skill development, contributes to corporate and social environment free of frauds, helps in examination of financial crimes. So eligibility requirement for this is practicing cost accountants, CMA final students, CMAs in employment, various role, CMA insolvency professional. When I actually started into the forensic audit profession, there was no such guidance from any of the institute. And it is very good that institute has started these particular courses. And forensic audit is just an emerging area, I can tell. not only in India, all over the globally also, because there are numerous financial frauds, corporate misconducts, unethical business practices, and high incidence of cyber crimes is happening. You see there are CBI economic offenses being CID departments in all over India. They just come up if there is any financial fraud, they'll give it to CMAs or they'll give it to some good consultant who has experience in these particular, channeling the transactions, identifying the issues, identifying the trail analysis. So this is very important because nobody else can understand in this particular field. I think this particular, course which gives a detailed understanding of various concepts can give you to just enter into it and start the profession in forensic audit. So to conclude this, we have understood what is the critical role of CMAs in forensic audit and how they can combat the financial frauds if they start this particular profession, and what is fraud detection prevention we have understood, and what are the career opportunities also we have seen. So with this, I conclude my session. If anybody has any doubts, please let me know. Yes, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your such an uh, insightful session, which I think should have answered so many queries, so many doubts of the participants. And before concluding, I would like to share some more information with our participants that the admission of this particular course is going on right now, and you will get the full information of this course from the advanced studies section of the website of our institute, which is www.icmai.in. You can mail us any of your queries regarding this course at advstudies@icmai.in. I will give the full details in the chat box. And before concluding the session, we from the Board of Advanced Studies would like to extend our full gratitude to our President, CMA Bibi Naik sir, our Vice President, CMA TCA Prasad sir, and our Chairman of the Board of Advanced Studies and Research, CMA Vinay Ranjan sir, for extending their full support to organize this kind of sessions. And with their support also and advice, we think we will definitely will come up with some more such sessions which will enrich our members and open some new areas for them in their practical field. So once again, thank you, sir, for sharing, for cooperating, for contributing, and from your busy schedule. And we hope we will, we will get you in future for this kind of sessions. Thank you all the participants for our patient hearing, and we will definitely meet in future again. Good night. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for organizing such a wonderful event. Thank you, everyone, for attending.